What's up, guys? Pittsburgh Weiss Schwarz back again with more of the Data Live set review. Today we're doing Red. I'm here with Andy, Carmen, and Drew.
What's up?
So
I'm sure we've got a lot to talk about here. Yep. Pog, Red Data Live. Here we go. Andy, start us off.
Got Carmen when this card attacks. Coterie.
Okay.
Average.
Oh, no,
start with a
Coterie.
K
I'm
and with
on
an
the
I.
card. Okay.
Both start with a K and end with an I. Come on, give me a break.
Yeah, you're fine.
Attacks. All your characters have date and elemental. Choose one of your characters. Give it 1,000. When you play it, when this card is placed from stage 2 waiting room, you can discard. Look at 4 cards. Take a level 1 or higher card. Add it to your hand.
Wow, it adds the event.
Adds event.
Wow, that's
Cheery.
pretty cool.
Cheery. We already talked a couple times about how like Cheery would like play into standby and play into level down in the mirror and like kind of things you could do, and then it has it itself. And it adds the My Little Shido event. And it helps you get into your level 1 combo if you're playing choice, because you're relying on getting off your level 1 combo. This card seems pretty good. Seems pretty
good to me, yeah.
Seems pretty good. Weirdly enough, like in my experience with Data Live, this is like a 3 at max Cheery deck. Typically it's like more like 2 because you're like jamming cards. It depends on your build. It's more important for the choice build because you have to hit your level 1 every turn. So like milling into additional cards and stuff like that is pretty good. But yeah, it's the fact that it adds the event. It's dumb. Dumb.
I think I like it better than the There's a card in Konosuba that we talked about. It was an on death Chiori also. I think for level 1 or higher card.
Yeah, the Wiz.
Yeah, the Wiz.
And I didn't like it as much, I don't think. But I don't remember what score I gave it, but just like the context of the set, you have a lot more like...
Also gives 1,000 power somewhere on attack.
You give 1,000 power to itself or somewhere else. I don't know. It just seems more like usable at level 0, and in standby builds, you're naturally going to have a higher count of level 1 or higher cards, so you're probably less inclined to have to hit a level 0 to like get another turn at 0 or whatever.
Yeah. Still just like, I don't know, Cheery, it's mill, more deck control.
Cheery's good.
Deck already had good deck control. Interaction in the mirror is good. So.
Yeah.
Alright.
Toka, early play healer. 4 or more characters, early plays at level 2, heals on play. On play gets 2,000 power till the end of your opponent's next turn, so sits at 10-5 cross turn for the first turn.
Early play of choice. Pretty much every deck is running somewhere between 1 and 3.
Seems
Sweet
pretty
spot
good
is
to me.
2. Every deck is in red because the Cheery was the first one. Every utility card is red. The 2K backup is red.
Kermi's what's his face is broken.
Yeah, Kurumi finisher is red. 4 or more with standby is a little gross sometimes, but
yeah,
you'll happily take it, I think, because
I mean, Overlord
it's the only option.
Yeah, I think it's
for early
fine.
play heal, and early play heal is just too good right now. Just in general.
Carmen, you also mentioned too with the back in yellow, the Shido that
sacrifice
himself. So you
so it's
plop
not
him
as
down
bad.
on your field, fulfill your 4 condition, sack him, and then you can like play another one of those.
Yeah,
Mm.
doesn't feel as bad.
So that definitely helps it out a little bit, but you do have to jump through some hoops to field multiples of these.
You wouldn't.
Bit,
I'm pretty sure you just slam down one every turn over and over again because like your My Little Shido exchanges for it. So if it dies when it's only an 8/5, you just replace it after it dies by like an event, grabbing it back, playing it again. So you get to play low counts.
Because like you only need it to live 1 turn, and then you get 2 turns with it. That's all that matters.
Yep. Yeah, it's fine. I don't want to. I don't want to give the like. It's definitely not like I've been playing with it. It's one of the worst cards in the deck.
Really?
In general, it's not great. One of the worst feeling cards, but it's important to have it. And because the deck sculpts so well, you don't have to run a lot of counts of it. You can run like 2 of it, but like you don't need to like go super heavy into it to play it multiple times if you needed to.
Loop it for free.
Yeah, because of the My Little Shido event. So, card's fine. It's important the deck has it, but like It could. There are far better early play healers. This one's just okay. But early play healers have a very high baseline.
Wow, I'm surprised that you're kind of not thrilled with it.
Yeah, if it was 2 or less, I think I'd like it more. Since like you do end up with a ton of stock. But the combination of 4 or more and the fact that it doesn't have a constant power level, so you're not like incentivized to back it up over multiple turns. It's only one. It is kind of feels bad comparatively.
That's fine, because then you can cash it out and then stand by.
Yeah.
Something for your finisher.
The big thing is that like when you're
It's
playing this,
it's more aggressively slanted.
I
than,
guess.
Yeah.
When you're playing it alongside the 2/2 Toka that has the standby target that has the on reverse top check 2 rearrange shit on either turn, protecting this is like, why would you ever? You like don't give a shit. You throw this down if it dies, whatever.
Maybe you don't run them in the same deck. This seems more.
No,
for
you
like
do. You run this in every deck. This is the early play in every deck. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know about that, but like I think that's difficult.
Well,
to
there are
say.
only 2. There's only this one and the Rumi that we saw. That's it. There are 2.
Just in the last video in green, there's the early play Yoshino that has that combo.
Well, that's a whole package. You can't
Yeah,
just like
combo,
throw that
yeah,
into a
I
deck.
Still true, but it's still an early play that if you're running that deck, those are your early plays. You
Right.
might not be running this card.
I suppose. But yeah, I just wanted to note that. I'm not saying like it's bad.
It seems more aggressively focused. If you're playing a Dow deck with a more like a less defensive, more linear, straightforward, focused like attack and kill game plan, this would be better than maybe a more defensive build where you want to scry a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, yeah.
You just play it because it's an early play healer,
Yeah,
and
it's an early
that's
play
good.
healer. Exactly. Yeah.
You just play
Yep.
it.
All
But
right.
Don't think too hard about it, I guess.
A way more broken card.
Let's talk about broken cards.
Let's talk
Oh.
about broken cards, boys.
Okay, so this is the Kurumi finisher. This card in Japan is $45. It was $50 for base rarity. The secret SP version of this card is $1,300. It drives the entire value of the set, which is why people are talking about maybe this card gets nerfed. It does like drastically change the expected value of every box if like they somehow nerf it to being unplayable. I don't think they're gonna nerf it though. But anyway, the card itself sits at 10-5. You're playing the game for no fucking reason. Heals for no fucking reason. On attack with the standby. If you have 2 or more other characters, if you're playing the fucking game, choose one of these 3 actions and perform it. Stock swap your opponent for free. Choose up to 3 cards in your opponent's waiting room. Shuffle them back for free. Or ditch 2 cards to burn your opponent for 3.
For free.
Well, no, it's ditch
Oh, no.
2.
No, you can
It's
ditch
That
ditch
one's ditch 2. That one
Damn it,
costs.
Andy. I tried to, bro. I tried to.
The power of this card should be immediately obvious. If it's not obvious to you, let's
You're
dig
playing
a
the
little
game.
deeper. The baseline 10-5 off standby heal is strong considering the Kotri back row. So this is more often than not. You're going to have 2 lanes of this that sit at 12-5. Very high chance that lives back to your following turn. And then the fact that the climax combo, not even considering what the climax combo does, is mostly costless, at least in terms of stock, means that looping this turn after turn, especially with the access to the good climax swap and other things, provided that you are even grinding out the game, you're a grindier deck like 8 standby, or any of the X standby decks that are running a bazillion healers anyway, because you're running this 4 of these healers, 2 of the Icy Tail healers, 2 plus of the fucking early play healers. You're running like 8 healers, at least, on average. And then you have the My Little Shido that can grab these back, so that you can play them again if they do get answered. The fact that, not even considering what this climax combo does, the fact that it is costless, impactful, and it is more often than not a 12-5 healer, is like already ridiculous. Now let's move on to what these actually are. Stock swap on attack is ridiculously destructive against any deck that's compressing with stock. Shuffling 3 cards back punishes people who are otherwise good players that leave 1 card or low amounts of cards in their deck, or people that have unfortunate triggers and just low roll. You get to kill them. And then ditch 2, burn 3 should be obviously strong. to most people. I think that one's easy to understand.
That's
Um,
the vanilla option.
The fact that you have these 3 choices, they're all strong, and 2 of them cost nothing, is just ridiculous. Why? You cannot print cards this modular
No.
in this game.
Absolutely not.
Especially off a card that standby that gives you good numbers on open lanes, rewarding you for winning board earlier in the game with like swings for 3. It's just too much. It's too much. Like,
Yeah,
it's just fucking disgusting. Why does this card do everything?
Why does the set do everything?
This combo is so good that even off standby, I would run this and run no standby targets at any of my other levels. I would play
agree.
this just for the effect. Like,
The card is broken as it is. Yeah, I mean, standby also, doesn't force you to overswing. Doesn't give stall to your characters.
this is like...
You can stand. You don't need to be standbying a 2/2 to the back row. You can just stand by a 1/0 for your combo next turn.
Yeah,
or,
who even cares?
it's stand by one of these in advance for your finisher turn.
Right.
Which happens all the time. Throwing this on the board, it's a 10-5 in the front row. You could probably protect it. It's as big as your other standby target. So like throwing it in the front row isn't even a liability.
The fact that it's costless too for the combo, like stockless,
Yeah.
kind of nice because even if you're going for like the burn plan, like maybe tri-field this Kurumi and then you want to go for burn 3 or something. The fact that it's not like stock intensive means you can then use your stock to maybe brainstorm or find some other way to
Get enough hand to
get enough hand to go off with it.
or
I think
play the Icy Tail in the other lane, which has a
Right.
steep cost, which is like, I'm pretty sure Icy Tail Kurumi does 7 damage on like even some of the most disgusting deck states. Just because you can do the stock swap that you're going to do, or do the Icy Tail that you're going to do, and then react perfectly in your other 2 lanes with exactly what kills your opponent, based on their follow-up deck state. Because an Icy Tail for 5 and the resulting burn can completely change what you're playing into. Like, your entire understanding of your opponent's deck state, right? Like, it lets you make the perfect reaction.
Especially if you could go Icy
Yeah.
Tail first and then be like, oh, I hit
You
all
regularly
your climax,
can.
you're ready to burn, or like...
If you stand by one of these out the turn before, having 8 to 9 stock for Data Live is not a tall order in any build. Icy Tailing first is very common. I've done it many, many times. More often than not. Especially against decks like Saikano that can't punish you, for any deck that can't punish you for amassing stock, whereas they don't have access to stock swap, you get to freely farm them and build to that sort of like unanswerable board, where like no matter their deck state, no matter their board, you're gonna kill them outside of them free-freshing mid-combat. They're only out, which only some decks can do. Not all decks can do that, especially in English. Not many decks can.
Now, do we think this is the best finisher in the game?
By a wide margin. I don't think it's close.
It's pretty good.
This is
I think we're seeing something come through here, especially with the release, like the latest release of Slime, and now like this being revealed. We're seeing a lot of this stock swapping. Like I feel like they're like
every set's getting it.
Yeah, I feel like every set's getting the ability to now be like, you know what, like yeah, that's cool. You have all the utilities to make sure you have clean stock, but now I have the utility to make it dirty. You know what I mean? Like they're giving.
At the end of the day, it is a coin flip. You have no way of knowing your opponent's ordering of the climaxes and clean cards in their deck. You only can evaluate the ratio. However,
the days
a
of just
coin flip
building
of this
a mountain
strength
of stock and just riding that
is
wave,
over.
You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
can't.
it's over.
You can't just like, oh, I have 20 clean stock. Get fucked.
Yeah. Now you have to have 20 memory.
No more 8 stock beastmen at level 1.
Yeah,
level 0.
Yeah,
on my first turn.
This is like S plus, I think. Like the Shido is like meta defining. This is very close to being a meta defining card.
I don't know if it's
is,
over the top to the point where
No,
it's,
I
like,
think if it was if this card was an early play card, it would be meta
well, yeah,
defining.
it can't be an early. But
No,
like
that
that would change
that,
it
you know what
entirely.
I mean?
But like
it does what it should do as a finisher. I just think it does more than what it should do as a finisher.
well, yeah, because it's too modular.
Like,
you would happily take any one of these single effects.
Many options there, you know.
Yeah, this could have one of these three, and
like,
still be an A tier card.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other deck has to tri-field a card that has each of these effects. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they have to have one of
these
each.
effects.
Yeah, if they're all
Right.
level 3s. This is saying
This one, you're like, all right,
well, and it's on
lane.
standby, so you get the opportunity to high roll one of these out to even save the cost of playing it. Which then again, like, you only need to have one standby. You need to hit one standby sometime at level 2. Which, come on, you're Data Life. You're elongating your level 2. Like, I can count on one hand how many times I've gone directly from 2 to 3 playing the deck. It's disgusting, especially if you're playing the blue packages. So, like, setting up 2 Kurumi, 1 Icy Tail, where you get to Icy Tail first, and then do this perfect reaction strategy, where you will more often than not delete your opponent from existence, and there's nothing that they can do. It's just way too common. It's way too common. And God forbid you queue into the matchups like Slime, or a deck like Psychono, a deck that's like really heavily compressing, and like they're in these ridiculous deck states where they're like 7 and 20 or something, like very highly compressed deck states. The more compressed they are, the more they lose.
Yeah,
like
slime with 14 cards in memory.
Do I think this card is problematic? Yes and no. It's less problematic than My Little Shido. This card is problematic in a very obvious way. It has too many. The options that it has are too synergistic with one another when fielded in multiples.
I think it's the difference between an overpowered card and a broken card.
Yeah.
This is a very pushed, very overpowered card, whereas the Shido event
is broken.
In a sense that it destroys the way the game is.
You evaluate the entire
out.
game. Like the way the game plays from beginning to end. Level 1 is early enough to be the beginning of the game. By I think any metric.
Even if Weiss did utilize the ban list more in English, like, this is one of those cards that I feel is like very on the line. It's like obviously super fucking good and overpowered
but I don't think,
shit, but it doesn't cross that line between overpowered into the territory of being broken, and I don't.
I can see them. I can
think
see
it
it being.
is.
I can see it being a card they could limit to 2, just because then you'd at least have to devote resources to at least have 2 to like at any given time. Like, let's say you shitluck standby into 1, and then you have to devote resources to search the other one to then play it. I could see that. I don't see this card being ban worthy just because.
I think you hit the event and you wait and see. Like, what do they do? Like, it removes a lot of consistency from you, like, being able to generate open lanes, being able to generate profitable attacks throughout the game. How does that affect Data Live consistently building into... I honestly think the Hellboard is actually Icy Tail, Kurumi, where you Icy Tail first. I think that is better than triple in a more generalized scenario. I think if you are looking at how often do they triple versus how often do they set up that with or without the event, and you have to you have to unfortunately do multiple rounds of banning. You have to do multiple rounds of testing. You have to see how the game reacts, because it's a lot of data there. It's hard to tell.
Way of doing it.
Yeah, but but you know what Bushiroad will do if it's a problem?
The scalpel before the knife.
They'll delete the deck, because that's what they always do. They just delete the deck.
Yeah.
The only reason they might not want to... Well, and you know what? The thing, Bushi JP, they will delete Data Live. They will delete something they just birthed. Because, like, people love Fate. Fate's like one of the most beloved franchises ever, and it doesn't even matter the popularity of the IP. That shit got gutted.
Yeah.
Like, It took a long time for them to come up.
They don't make good ban lists. They don't make good ban decisions. I think
They make very knee-jerk reactions to very high rep, and I don't know if you guys have been following, but Data Live's got some pretty high rep. So it's like pushing 35%.
Yeah.
Through the. I mean, you look at TCGs like Yu-Gi-Oh. I mean, they just straight up kill decks, though. You know.
Yeah, they just kill shit.
I think that's the most terrible way to do it. I look at a game like Magic and I say, you know, they know how to make a ban list properly. You know, they really they try to be as non-invasive as possible. You know, use the scalpel before the knife. You know, they let
Bushiroad twist that
they
shit.
give you this slap on the wrist before they flat out ban something. And if they do flat out ban something, they have a really good fucking reason for it.
I mean, I feel like your reasoning for banning a certain card that makes a whole deck is to literally say, all right, let's say, okay, this level 3 card here, unplayable. You guys aren't allowed to play it. And then if it still tops, then that's whenever you're like, you know what, there's a couple pieces here we got to work with. So you know what I mean? Like, I think it's the best way to do it because like that's kind of how Magic does it too. You know what I mean? Like, you look at some of the shit they've been
they won't do that step by step though. They'll just delete it. They'll twist the knife. They won't just use it. Like we all saw what happened to Fate. It'll just get removed.
I think the set was still good.
Yeah.
Even without the set was still good.
You could remove these 2 cards. There'd be something playable. And the thing, and like a lot of people, and I know there's people seeing on Global and our general viewer base. I'm sure you guys have seen people being like, "Hey, well, like if things get nerfed, things get changed, pre-orders, blah blah blah." Data Live is like one of the most popular anime to come to Weiss in years. The set, in terms of like card design, is strong enough. Even if you remove this card and My Little Shido from the set entirely.
It would survive.
It would survive. It would have
Absolutely.
a playable deck, and the characters and the property are so popular that you're not going to lose the absurd amount of money on it if you decide to invest early in a pre-order that people are fear-mongering that you will. Weiss has always been a game that has survived on like waifuism to a certain point in terms of card value. Just look at like our entire value is in shiny shit and voice actress signed cards. Things are going to be fine, like financially, if you decide to invest in it. Don't worry about like the set just being like completely gutted for financial value when they decide to ban it. It's not going to happen. I just wanted to get that out there because I think there's a lot of fear going on right now about like
if they gutted this set, they would have to go back and they would have to gut AOT. They'd have to gut Konosuba. You'd have to. They'd have to.
It would force Bushi C to, if they didn't change it before it came out, it would push Bushi Singapore to acknowledge that there were metagame issues that needed to be addressed in the past. Were there in the past, like 2+ years ago with AOT? Sure, but like the landscape is different now. And like the thing with Bushiroad is like they're very hesitant to unban things. I mean, even just Monogatari recently got 1 card taken off. And Monogatari is still like, they're like, I don't know, they're like not in the worst position right now, but like, you know.
You kind of compare like the decks that have stuff on the ban list, right? And you say like, okay, like how good were those decks with all these ban cards? And the new sets that are coming out with like Data Live, like out of the gate, seems like way better than a lot of the stuff on the ban list ever was, even at full force.
I think it's a different level of power creep.
I mean, I look at it like this. It's
too obvious, right? I think that's the thing.
Like you look at a set like this, right? And then let's go back. Let's just look at a set like JoJo's. You look at those two, and you're like, what the fuck were they thinking, right?
How did these sets get announced?
Right.
Well, and that's the other thing. If you don't follow the Japanese format at all, which is a normal thing, it surprises me constantly that people don't follow the other side of the game at all, and they see them as like very, very sandbox things. And it's like it hasn't been true for a long time, and the people who haven't been following are only now starting to realize that it's not true. But I digress. Anyway, like these people that don't acknowledge it, they only see what gets announced for English. JoJo got announced like for March past year, and 1 year later, there's this also standalone set from a very popular anime property. And the power level between the two it's worse than night and day. It's like it's like Space Age versus Stone Age levels of utility, even without these two big offending cards, Metal Shido and Kurumi. Even if you just look at like the level zeros across the board, even the shit ones are better than some of the dojo double rares. Like it's like a slap in the face.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It's just a bad look for the company, like all around.
It just kind of seems, it's just like kind of random. Like if you don't follow like the Facebook reveals and if you don't follow the overseas format, you see a poster go up in your LGS saying, ReZero Memory Snow coming out end of the month or something, right? It's like, how do you know what to expect?
Mm-hmm.
You watch Pittsburgh Weiss Schwarz videos, and you guys all know what to expect because we got you.
We do our best.
We got you. We are the flame in the darkness, boys.
I think we can finally move on.
Yeah,
our grievances have been aired. Somehow not the most broken card in the set, but
yeah, very very strong.
Yeah,
very spooky.
All right, Drew.
All right, so we got this underage child in some underwear. Level 0, when this card is placed in the hand on the stage, look up 2 cards from the top of your library and put them on top in any order. Then you, when you play it, you pay 1, pitch 1. If you do so, choose a date or elemental character from your waiting room and return it to your hand. And choose one of your, basically, characters. And for the turn, that character gains 1,000 power.
This is the hand filter of choice in pretty much every deck. It's the Kasumi promo drop search, but it's a drop salvage. And
drop salvage with top 2 rearrange.
Yeah,
pretty good.
As it turns out, in X standby or 8 standby, that's absurdly strong.
Is it an SR?
I am not sure.
Well, it's gonna get a fucking A+ till it does.
Card's good as a filter with built-in strong, like, coincidental second effect. The incidental effect is extremely strong, more so when you're running standby.
I think especially with Girl, or I don't know what the fuck else you called it, Carmen, but the card from the trial deck that lets you draw a discard, then discard.
Arisu.
Draw.
Yeah, Cowgirl, yeah.
The Cowgirl / Arisu effect. This is like top check 2 rearrange, or just top check 2 in general with that sort of effect is like really, really nice synergy.
Yeah.
And like it's like built-in synergy for standby. You're ditching a card. You're looking at your top 2. You look at your top 2 first. And it's just like, oh, is it worth like ditching this one card? Or it's like, oh, I'll ditch my 2/2 standby target. Whatever.
It's just so much value. And like the fact that you can look at the top 2 and say, I'm triggering a climax this turn. What do I think about that? Is it a standby? Do I want that tempo burst of standbying something out?
Is it a choice? Do I want that stock? Like,
is it a climax I need to draw from my combo? I can then follow up with Cowgirl.
What if I see 2? What about this? I'm about to go to my attacks. What if I see 2 climaxes? Oh, holy shit! Let me grab fucking free fresh, or I'll brainstorm. Like, what do I want to do this turn? Like. It helps you mitigate what would otherwise be bad low rolls. Extremely good consistency card with a fucking drop salvage plus 1,000 power. It's like it's always good.
Look at top 2 rearrange on itself is already good enough, but when you combine it with the fact that it's a standby deck and the fact that you have other cards to support that type of effect, like the Cowgirl,
yeah,
it just makes it.
Do your climax, grab your climax.
It's so goddamn convenient.
Yep.
I've played with like Cowgirl and like splits of cards that let you like top check yourself before you go into your Cowgirl. It just is. It's the nicest feeling. You never get fucked by the randomness. You always get to set it up perfectly every time like a genius.
And the thing here is, like, it's all incidental. You would run some sort of hand fix tool anyway. Like, just get it all.
Too, the drop salvage effect doesn't change the position of cards in your deck either.
Right? Yeah.
So like you can look at the top 2 cards of your deck, say, okay, this is what's my plan for the turn. You know, figure it out and be like, okay, I know what I'm going to do now. And then you can say, all right, I'm going to then get something from my graveyard, and you don't have to shuffle your deck or anything after.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, super strong. Simple, strong, good card.
Yep.
Moving on. Andy, back to you.
You got Smug Kurami. This attacks. You have 4 or more cards in your clock. You can pay 1 to Twin Drive. At the beginning of your opponent's attack phase, if you have 3 or less cards in your clock, you can move this to any open slot in your front row. This card is super duper good, I think. This is a great runner. It's fantastic.
I thought the same.
First turn, it's always going to be a runner. Yeah. So it's always going to get, that plus for you turn 1 when you need it. And then, incidentally, you have 4 Twin Drivers in your deck. This seems like absurdly good. Like the runner of choice you want to run.
Fine.
Runners are best.
Twin Drive, notably, 4 or more cards in your clock is probably the worst and least consistent
okay, well, you're
amount of things for during your level 1 combo.
It's Twin Driver. You're not running it because it's Twin Drive. You're running it because it's a runner.
Yeah, like
I throw 4 of this runner into my deck, and then incidentally, I have a lot of access to Twin Drive.
I had this same thought when I saw the card. It's just like, oh, you just run 4 of this every single deck. It's like the utility's too good. Like, it's like Onga Bonga runner good, run away. Then it's Twin Driver. Initial testing on TTS before the whole set even came out. You never get the Twin Drive when you run it. And going second, the card is garbage. Because you always eat. Like, what if you eat 3 if you go second? And then you say you can't clock if you're going to play it. It would be much better suited to being a 2 of, where you're saying you're only going to play it when you're going to Twin Drive that is a runner incidentally, and not as your main plusing 0. It's a lot less consistent than you think, and the fact that it's not splashable without having the level 0 Kurumi that lets you actually modulate the damage that's in your clock makes both effects worse. And there is a already good free runner, already good oversize. Unfortunately, not a lot of options for Twin Drive. But I don't think that's worth running it over the other options. I just wanted to say my whole piece.
Let me ask you this, seeing as you play tested already, how did it work going second when you did have to clock and already had 4, attacked with something else, and then Twin Drive this card?
Felt like shit because it's just a 2K and a Twin Drive. And if I trigger clean on my first attack, why am I Twin Driving if I'm only out 1 climax? I'm just increasing the chance I'll trigger. So, like, it's just bad timing going second a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask your opinion.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I had this exact same knee-jerk reaction to this card. It's like, this is too good. This is just a power cut runner. It's just free. Like, free runners are already 2K. This other effect doesn't have any drawback. What the fuck? Why is there no drawback?
Yeah, you talked me off the ledge there. That's
because I had the exact same reaction to the card.
I'm gonna give it a C+ just for having Twin Drive, but like I think it's more of like along you and Brian. Carmen, like,
it is worth noting this card is legitimately overspec. This card is legitimately overspec. The way they've evaluated both of these effects. These are both effects that would give you minus 1,000 power, but they've said that this weird condition makes it minus 500. I think
the fact that you never get to choose necessarily what you're doing. I feel the fact that if this card was always a runner turn 1, right? If you won the die roll every time and would always go first, this card would legitimately be like an A then.
Yeah, it would be great. Yeah.
But the fact that if you go second and they
useless.
trigger, it's just bad.
Which is a normal thing that happens in a lot of games.
You keep the hand you keep because you say, oh, I got this runner and I'm going to maul super aggressively. otherwise, maybe, right?
Yeah, but
And
then you don't get that plus. Yeah.
And then you just eat the damage, and then you're stuck with this 2K and maybe can't answer their board.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The fact that you lose the die roll 50% of the time makes me like this card a lot less and would not want to run like 4 copies of it. This would seem more like a splashable card as like a 2-of or something.
Yeah.
Definitely. It really is just the fact that it's inconsistent which effect this card has at any given time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Tough
I feel
to manage.
in a deck that's so consistent, this is the most inconsistent part of it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And that's why you don't play it.
Right.
Well, on to a more consistent +0
Right.
profile.
We've got Toko with some bread. When this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, choose one of your other characters with date or elemental trait, rest it, and move it to an empty slot in your back row. When this card becomes reversed, put it on the bottom of your deck. So it's a clean cut. It's 3K. Drawback is it goes to bottom deck. Not even that bad.
You have a lot of high value clean cutting targets.
Mm-hmm.
Notably the Brainstorm, if you clean cut the Brainstorm, which is the classic play. The like Unga Bunga clean cut good play. You can put this to 3/5.
We talked about clean cutting the Shido in
Yeah,
yellow.
clean cutting the Shido is extremely strong. 3K, clean cut finds reverses pretty fucking easily. If this card trades, whatever, gone from the board, goes under.
Yeah, going to bottom of deck isn't really even a drawback.
No.
No.
Like, if you're fielding this early, like, you don't really care.
There are ways for you to even spin it in your favor. I've done things where I'd be like, all right, I need to chump this turn. I have 2 cards in deck, crash and clean cut first. That's a clean trigger. You know, like there are ways that you can use the card. And you end up in those deck states like more often than not because like Kotri, like this is best in like the choice decks where like you're far more aggressive at level 0. Because you're gonna get all your hand back. So like clean cutting shit is just like it's just an even safer tri-field, right? And if you want to tri-field more, you run clean cut as your +0. Even if you're going first, I mean like it sucks. Like there's some discussions I was having with some people about if you're playing choice and you go first, do you draw clock pass if you open clean cut in a clean cuttable tri-field board? The deck is actually so fucking stupid. The answer might be yes. It's hard to like because the way choice works, where like you burn your whole fucking hand at 0 and then you get all your shit back. If you open good enough, that's like a line of play you might even want to do. In decks where you're like being super super fucking aggressive, like any choice X, whether it's standby or pants, which I think the only thing people are really messing with right now. This is definitely your +0 of choice. If you're running something else, you probably need blue fix. There's some good blue +0 options, but like card's really important for the choice deck to have because it's just so fucking aggressive.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's a good point about like sometimes depending on your hand state, maybe you do draw clock pass turn 1 so you can get the best tri-field.
Yeah, because
possible.
like what do you care that your opponent fucking cracks at you? They send you to level 1 if your hand's good enough. You obviously only do this if your hand's good enough. Oh, well, guess I'm playing Kotri a turn early and I'll clean cut my Kotri back.
Well, you're not behind that far anyway.
Yeah,
like, you missed 1 attack.
It's all contextual based on your hand.
Yeah.
But in terms of like just this card, the context of the set, I'm gonna give it an A, just a flat A context of the set. If I saw this card normally, it'd be somewhere between a like B+ and an A. It just depends on the set. The choice uses it very well.
I'm giving it the plus because of the context. I think really good with
you just vomit
the Kotori combo at level 1 where you just refill your whole hand.
The thing I don't like about it, and I might actually refactor to a minus here. Clean cut, naturally bad synergy with standby. Most builds running standby. Clean cutting and standby, and like you high roll and your clean cut fucked up your high roll, feels really fucking bad. Especially in the 8 standby and book standby decks. You might not even want to run this at all because one of the best things that you can hit is that 1/0 Toka at level 0 that sits in the back row. Because that card sits in the back row the entire fucking game. So if you have that shit set, you wouldn't even play it.
If you clean cut, Right, you're just moving the card to the back row. You still have your open spot.
Right.
Maybe
Yeah, but that
you
card
have to
only
be
has
more
1500
reactive
power.
with your choice.
It's
you have to
about
be more
yeah.
reactive with your standby, but I mean, you're already reacting.
I mean,
at that
it's
point.
fine. I'm just highlighting like it can create issues. I don't like running clean cuts in standby decks for that reason. Unless the clean cut is like it would have to be like Rem tier.
That's why I was giving it
this
the.
is
That's
not.
what I was gonna say. I was giving it the minus to it because of that. Its interaction with standby, and I'm not like the whole clean
Because
cut.
the thing with clean
it's
cut is
not-
clean cut is a plussing 0 that actually does retain its value all game. Like having clean cut in your hand to like snipe your opponent's chump or something like that and like generate a plus at any point, like one of the main reasons like Garasao is so good for so long. Is because of shit like that. And like running X standby in your deck like kind of removes that throughout the course of the game. And the only reason I'm even evaluating it on this is because like, come on, if you're not playing the Kurumi finisher, what are you doing? Like you gotta have a strong reason, and there are strong reasons to run other stuff. But I'm not saying there aren't. But more often than not, a little bit of anti-synergy there. Still fine. Too good with choice to not play. You have to play.
I'm gonna be honest. I thought when I first saw this card, I thought she was eating a lettuce.
No, it's a melon pen.
Straight out of the bag. I thought it was a head of lettuce.
Coke is always eating, man.
Yeah, I mean, lettuce is good.
He cheated ahead of the lettuce,
come on, that's
too.
not a Japanese bag of groceries. Like, she's got a whole fucking
Andy,
loaf
come
of...
on, it's not even
She
green,
just
dog.
eats, dude. All she does is eat. Okay,
What's
that's
that
French
brown
bread.
thing? Is that a coconut?
No,
Dude,
it's
she
a
just
meat
stopped at
bun.
Subway and got that $5 footlong,
The
bro.
meat bun, sandwiches,
She's got that $5 footlong
melon
in there,
pen, and like just a fucking loaf of French bread.
This
No
is the bag of
gambling stuff.
sandwiches.
All right, let's move on. 2K backup. Nobody waste time. 2K, 2K,
Yep.
2K, 2K.
I've already rated it. You're
It's in
welcome.
red, which is good. Relevant color.
Yep.
Pouty Toko on it. You run like 2 to 3 of this, depending on your build. Choice doesn't run any. Book runs like 2. Standby runs 3 usually. All right. Skipping that. Who just did the clean cut, Brian? So this is me.
Yep.
We got this coterie. She's mad. For each of your other data or elemental characters gains 500 power, so it's going to sit at 11/5 cross turn. And when this attacks, if Flame Drill at time is in your climax zone, which is this door, put the top card of your library in the waiting room and deal X damage to your opponent. X equals the level of that card plus 1. Wow, Musashi.
Ooh, Musashi. You can also get this
Musashi
card
on
on your
attack.
field with a different card.
Yeah, Musashi
Right.
on attack. Yeah, that's the next card that we'll
It was
look
like
at.
the shitty card.
Yeah. Musashi on attack, okay? It's
Seems
free.
just like-
I don't like that
burn
as a
one?
climax I don't like that as a climax combo though.
I mean, I guess saying Musashi on attack is like a misnomer. It's a climax combo.
The thing about
Yeah.
Musashi's I like is using them as your off finisher. As like a very efficient, don't have to pay any stock off finisher.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a
I'd
budget
rather
deck
use
combo.
to supplement a
Yeah.
combo rather than
This is definitely like a budget deck combo for
yeah.
sure.
I mean, I think as a combo, it's fine. It's the fact that the character itself doesn't do anything else on play.
yeah, it
Just
doesn't
gives
do
power.
shit.
I guess so,
Um,
yeah.
The
It's
card
true.
it changes from does something, which I mean, let's just rate this and move on. I guess. It's
Yeah.
not a. I think is a
card on
combo.
its
It's like
own.
a C plus.
Like
It's like
C+,
fine,
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Totally
Yeah.
fine. The damage numbers on attack Musashi are actually very good. Like in general, like in terms of like how it like spreads out. Like because people have like done like stuff with the Bang Dream Cosme, like the set 1/1. How like setting that up, it can create like really good numbers, really good spreads.
Maybe that's the red pill. Maybe you just no.
No, yeah, it's too
never
good. The other
mind.
one's too good.
Yeah, I was gonna say like maybe you just triple this is like super good actually. Maybe.
No, like Carmen said, even with the next card, like the next
Yeah.
card's okay, and then combined with this card, if you have the Musashi effect.
Yeah, this
cool.
is.
But it's like it's a budget finisher. It's
Maybe
not-
in a different deck. Maybe in a different deck you could like try field this as a finisher and it would be good. But
Oh,
the
Drew, you
Kirby
want to
combo is good.
walk us through the change here?
All right, so the target that actually changes into the previous card is on attack, reveal a top card in your library. If it is a character, if you're playing the fucking game or an event, it triggers on an event. Fuck it, it triggers on an event. Cool.
All the Katari cards hit on the events.
Right?
Yeah.
You ping your opponent 1, and then you change at the start of your climax phase. You may pay the cost. So choose one of the previous card we just reviewed, and then you change them. You swap spots.
So it's weird. It's
Right.
on attack, not
So
on
that's
placement.
kind of a weird.
They're both on attack. Yeah, this
That's
is budget
bad.
as fuck, dude. Yeah, it's not
Dude, that's
good.
bad. That's so bad.
Maybe that's
It's like a
mistranslated.
cop-out. It's like a
Maybe it's
cop-out
on
if you,
play.
Maybe it's on play.
It's got to be on.
I think
play.
it's is when this card attacks. Or I don't know.
I think the theory behind it is if you don't get your finisher, you can still just go for this one.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. That just seems so shit.
That has to be mistranslated because that profile, the first profile, is on play. Slime has it with the.
Yeah, I know a lot of decks have it. I'm just confused.
Yeah,
I
like-
mean,
That's bad,
we can
right?
check
That's-
LittleAkiba, I guess. That's the
If
only
that's not-
comparison.
Yeah, if that's
Yeah, what
not
is this,
mistranslated, that's
59?
just bad.
Yeah, I'll
It
run
has
it
the
through
same kanji.
Google Translate really quick.
No, it's when this card attacks. That's what LittleAkiba says the same thing.
Yeah, double checking Google Translate real quick. When this card attacks, yep.
Yeah.
Dude, that's bad.
Unfortunate.
That's bad.
C
That's,
minus.
I thought when I first read this card, I thought it was on play just because of the.
Yeah,
profile,
that would
and
be
I'm
cool
like,
synergy, but
Well,
this is
maybe
bad
it's-
synergy.
Maybe it's like as an off, like an off finisher, just as like a pinger. You know what I mean?
So
I
you're
mean,
giving up. You're giving up 2 slots to this card.
Well, no. I mean, you don't run this if you're running the climax combo. Maybe you don't
Well,
run it
well,
in
I'm
the
telling-
change.
Well, you
Mm,
just said it. You just said it's a
It's
backup
whatever.
plan to not getting the climax, right? So like, you have to be running this card, otherwise.
Well,
there's
no,
no
I mean
point.
like maybe you run this as an off finisher in a
No.
different deck, just for the ping. Like
The
you don't run the
ping?
actual.
I mean, the ping is free.
Because like the ping is free,
Yeah, it's free, but
but I mean
it's
it's
just,
like
it's only, dude. It only sits at 10K, man. That's bad. That's
it doesn't do anything else on
yeah,
play.
the fact that it does
you-
nothing.
and the other off finishers are so good. Like it's a
Yeah.
real
I'd
decision
rather-
to run this.
I'd rather play the early play healer at level 3 than this card at level 3. Like I'd rather just hard play it at level 3 than early play it than this card.
All
I
right.
just think this isn't worth a deck spot.
Yeah.
No, I don't
I
think so.
agree.
Let's just move on. Andy, back to you.
Whoa, dude! Check out those streaks of light obscuring the only card where she has her shirt on. It's a pretty meta of them. Your other card in the front.
I play No Game No Life, and I can talk about Streets of Light.
No, I can't. They'll just completely change the fucking art on my cards. We don't even get the streak of light treatment. They just delay the set for 3 months and change everything. But other character in the front middle gets 500. You can pay 3, discard a card, and rest this. Search your deck for up to 2 characters with date or elemental. Add them to your hand. So this is Carmen is going off about this card
Yeah. So
before the video.
So the thing with the coterie choice combo, right, is that it digs you into a bazillion climaxes. Combined with the fact that you are more often than not tri-fielding at level 0, and you're running clean cut. The idea is every turn, if you happen to trigger poorly, you can pay 3 and ditch a card to search 2 characters, have a normal turn, carry on with your life, and going into your first combo turn, it makes sure that literally all you need to do is hit 3 level 0s, and like 3 level 0s, one of them maybe being this card, one of them probably being your clean cut, and get the climax, or a climax, and the climax swapper into your hand. You then get to, on your follow-up turn, pay 3, get your 2 coteries, because you only need 2, slam them down, slam the choice, fill your hand back up, and do it all again the next turn. Has really good synergy with the choice combo, like specifically, just the choice combo. Outside of the choice deck, card is unplayable.
Mhm.
It's for, because you need some way, and I was talking with Riaz about this too. He's like, you need some way to like use that stock when it's dirty on something other than paying 3 that does something meaningful. And this is getting you 2 cards that you need on your first deck and thinning 2 cards from your next deck. as well as like paying out your climaxes. So it's for those situations only. Getting your 2 coteries from your deck for your first combo turn, because it lets you like do your mulligan to only need the climax and this card and 3 attacks, which you're playing choice. You like build for a lot of level 0s. You do that.
Yeah.
It lets you sculpt easier into your combo on your first deck, and then later on it makes it so playing coterie doesn't feel like shit when she triple triggers. So I know it seems suspect and like super fucking weird, but like you gotta trust, man. I've seen this thing work.
Couldn't you just? It just doesn't seem like a good rate.
No,
it doesn't. Sketchy. Well, here's how you have to look at it. It's a pay 2 plus and a drop salvage on the same card. That's why it's pay 3 ditch 1. It's a pay 2 plus and a drop search at the same time.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, that's like the rate. That's why it's
the
cost.
But that's still like a lot to pay early on.
It's really steep.
Even if you don't get the tri-field board or like. Couldn't
you just
pay out your stock with other shit? Like, couldn't you just brainstorm and then, like, I don't know, do other shit?
You cannot reliably get there.
Worse, than
you don't want to brainstorm and Dow a lot of the time because you go through many cards a turn normally just doing normal shit.
See, I just don't like that opening line you described. Like, having this as an out to be able to
it's not as an out.
Clean your stock of like the 3 triggers you got off your Kotoris.
No, dude. Like we already came into.
No, it also sets up your level 1 every game. Yeah. It makes it so you only need this card in the climax. You always have your Kotoris because you only need 2. It just makes it even easier to sculpt in your level 1. Because if you whiff your combo, you're dead in the water with choice. You have to resolve your combo multiple turns per game. As a tool that helps you do that and helps you. Also has the upside.
You're gonna throw away all your other great level 0s.
Yes, I know it seems so dumb. I know it seems so dumb. Like I had the exact same reaction. I had to sit there and watch not just one person. I had to watch multiple good players play this card to be convinced that it was worth playing. And I have to say it does exactly what they said it would do. Exactly what they should. I can say that it works. I wish that it wasn't the case, but it's actually so good in that line of play.
Yeah, if you're running choice, this card you have to play this card.
I don't know if you have to.
You have to. If you're running choice with that
I would at this point. When I go back to inevitably testing the choice combo again because on attack +2 is broken. I don't think I personally would play the list without this card. Because I think the list has like...
How many copies do they run?
Like 3 to 4. 3 to 4.
Yeah, what I think, Carmen, is everyone's just jumping on the bandwagon now. You know, give it like a few months. I think they're going to cut the card.
We tried the card on release, and people did drop it, and then everyone went back to it. We've already cycled back because it actually was too good for the deck.
I don't like.
I know. I hate it too.
So much.
I also hate it. I hate the card.
Andy, but listen to this.
I get the points. I get.
Yeah, it's just like I'm agreeing with you.
You pay out anything dirty.
I am agreeing with you. I also hate the card. However, I think the power of the choice combo is so stupid that it's worth playing this to remove a lot of the things that kind of feels bad. When
you have to run so many of it in that case. If
I think it's actually fine. I think you actually don't care. I think the combo is that fucking stupid. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's too good.
I think it does.
No, it's too good. I agree with you. I hate it. I hate everything about this card. I hate it, and I hate everything it stands for. However, in the choice deck specifically, it's good, and I wish it wasn't.
I don't know, man. Give it a few months. Everyone's just going to go back to playing good cards.
No, they already did that. They did the same thing. It's like, why are we running this bad card? These good cards. And they were like, wait, we need the bad card back. Like, they all just like fucking... Basically what they do is they give up any auxiliary level 1s to run 3 to 4 of this. And you run like 21, 22 zeros to make sure that you tri-field every single game, see this every single game, and you throw your whole goddamn hand to find the goddamn choice. and like you just make sure you choice combo over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
If you're gonna go that heavy in this, you would have to cut all your like auxiliary.
Yeah,
lines.
you'd cut literally every other auxiliary level 1.
So like, I don't know. I agree with that line. Like, at least knee jerk reaction. Like, just deck building wise, it makes sense.
Moving on here, we got this Toka. On play, draw ditch, loot 1, and then climax combo with the standby as the other standby in the set. You can pay cost, which is sack this and change it into this 2/1 Toka from your hand. Just to go over the 2/1 Toka, it's pretty important. This is like a Shiroha style combo. This gains only 1,000 power if you have 2 or more other data elemental characters. And then climax combo with that exact same standby, as long as it's in the climax zone and this is in the front row, you stand the card that you standby'd out. So you by expending a card as opposed to paying 1 like the Overlord one where you just have a full field and you play the 2/1. This one you expend an additional card from hand to get the stand, and you have to sculpt for it. So I guess that's like the quote unquote balance for this version.
Alternative there, yeah.
Yeah, where it's like instead of like having to sculpt, like build your field and like sculpt what you have on field, you have to like sculpt your hand a little more if you want to get this off early.
Yeah. The card's fine. I think I prefer the Overlord one, in combination with the card that bounces back to hand when you play the standby, obviously, since his early play condition is full field. But I guess this is maybe a little bit more generalized. What's it sit at?
And I guess
5.
I guess we should note. You can notice that Drew is not on this card. We had some recording issues, so we're coming back to this after the fact to retake it. We got in a bit of a fight over these 2 cards before, but I think at least my opinion has changed a little bit on not this part. I still think this card sucks, but I think the 2/1 is fine, like on its own.
Well, you got to play the 2/1 with the 0, right?
No, you can just play the 2/1 from hand.
Force fingers in there.
Because like
2/1 pay 1 at level 2, play the standby.
I guess you can just attack with your level 3. You standby out immediately if you have a good one.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I think the it opens up the play of icy tailing your opponent at level 2, which depending on the type of deck you're playing into, if it's a deck with a like disgusting compression strategy, like I guess in English that's just Fate, but like JP there's like Psychono and stuff. Like that's a play that regularly won me games against 8-bar Fate when I was like playing Summer Pockets. Was that exact same play?
Isn't the
and I didn't
AC Tail pretty expensive, like cost wise?
It's pay 3 on attack. So, but if you're only playing the 2/1, you're gonna have stock at level 2, right? Like the idea, like you could do it as long as you had 4 stock. It would tap you out, right? But
for sure.
like I'm not saying it's not expensive, but sometimes when you're playing a deck that doesn't have a lot of ways to push like an 8 standby deck, those kinds of plays can win you the game against those really disgusting
I guess if you're playing 8
decks.
standby, you can also like standby out copies of your own finisher too to save stock on your kill turn. I don't think any of Kurami's modes are stock.
They're not
stock.
No.
So you can kind of afford to pay out stock more liberally.
I just like throwing maybe 1 copy of this because like the 8 standby lists are kind of tight, but I think that was sort of a big part of the argument that we were having. But after this is spoiler alert, after Anime Evo, we have a little bit more experience playing into specifically 8 standby Dow and watching them play into a lot of other matchups. Data Live's card pool is actually so broken that you can just run like 2 ofs and 3 ofs of some things and it doesn't matter because they have so much deck control. So yeah, you can probably squeeze one of this.
I looked at the 2 Data Live lists, the standby ones that top 8'd, and one of them was running this card.
1/1
one
split.
of them had a 1/1 split with this and the 2/1 and the 1/0. Like they had this little package tacked in, 1 copy of each. The other build wasn't running any copies.
Yeah.
I played against it earlier in the day too, and I don't think the guy had this card, but I never looked at his list.
The other lists in the tournament, I don't believe were running this. It was just Hadsu was taking a 1/1 split.
Yeah, one copy of each is a little weird, but I mean, I guess,
But
Data Live gonna Data Live, so.
I don't remember
to be
Hutz's
honest-
list entirely. I still maintain my key point for the 1-0 in that argument was that this 1-0 has absolutely no place in a deck where you run 3 to 4 Arisu Cowgirl promo cards, which is what 8 Standby does. The filter, double filter.
Well, you would probably just cut one of the Cowgirls for this.
I guess, but I still think
it opens up the combo potential. We were comparing this to Overlord a lot before. In my opinion, hasn't changed. I actually like this combo a lot better than the Overlord one. Ironically enough, you and me are arguing about it from the opposite end. But I think this is just a lot more efficient. Like the whole goal of 8 Standby is to build up your field and then not have to expend any hands. So even though you have to go down an extra card for this, you're not really. It's not actually a minus.
it is a -1.
It's a -1.
Yeah,
But it's not real. It does get you the additional tempo of being able to swing with the card you stand by in that turn.
Something potentially bigger, yeah.
Yeah, I
It
get
gives you a
it.
bit of a tempo boost, so I think it's worth it. Also, considering that standby, you end up with a ton of hand because you're just winning board the whole game, so you can afford it.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, I get that argument, and I don't disagree. I just think the 1-0 is just an objectively worse version of the Arisu, and there's no reason to run the 1-0 when you can just run the 2-1 as a 1-of, and it still opens up the play that spikes harder. Whereas I don't think, unlike Overlord...
running this
wait,
card
let me finish.
Opens you up to it at level 1.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get to, is unlike Overlord, where they have a big payoff for swinging with the 2-2 at 1, Data Live's payoff is only an additional soul, which they could just get from an open lane, which they can easily win on the other turn at 0, if you're going from 0 to 1. So I think that just running the 2-1 doesn't take up the deck slots, but gives you the bigger, more important spike, which is possibly icy tailing, possibly swinging with a Kurumi. A play like that. I think that's where the spike is, if there's any spike at all in power. But the spike at 1, it's like you don't get anything for swinging with your 2-2 Toka. You get a top check 2 rearrange, but on your attacks, that doesn't matter as much. And when you swing in with the Toka, in my experience, as your last attack on your other turn, it just doesn't do anything, because ideally you want the climax to be the second card anyway. So how many times is the climax the card on top and you move it down 1 versus I don't know, we'd have to do a lot of testing on that situation. Because ideally when you see the climax on your end of your turn, you want it to be the second card. But if your opponent plays a climax, it's it cancels on 2 instead of canceling on 1.
Yeah, I mean, potentially good, but Overlord has a lot of other really good cards that are.
Well, yeah, you swing.
That would take up spots.
You talking about Overlord or Dow?
Overlord. We're saying the spike at 1 for Data Live isn't worth it, because it's not like Cocutus, where you put Cocutus on the board and he swings and he gives you extra stock, which completely pays back the interaction of playing the 2-1. Whereas this, you do it and you swing with the 2-2 Toka, and it's not like you get the card back or you generate anything crazy, right? But if you just play the 2-1 from hand, you basically paid 1 to swing with a level 3 on that turn. And if that level 3 is the Icy Tail and your opponent is something like Saikano, or I guess if we're talking about English Fate is probably the biggest one, or any deck that's in a disgusting compression state, ReZero, something like that, Icy Tailing at level 2 can just win you games. I speak from lots of experience, because Summer Pockets can do that same play. You stand by out the owl, but she's a twins character, so you can stand her with the support. And this is kind of similar, but it's kicking from the front row. And it's the same sort of thing. You're paying 1 for it, right? To get it out there and get it attacking. If you just run the 2 on Toka. But I guess we can rate these. I think we summarized it.
Few counterpoints.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. As far as even though I don't agree with it per se, and just saying that so going with your opinion on it, right? That the 1-0's completely crap and not worth running, and the 2-1 is maybe worth running to get the Icy Tail a turn.
Well, it's not just the Icy Tail. It's any level 3 in the set, I think, is a more relevant spike than a 2/2.
Oh, okay. So like the 2/1 might. You think the 2/1 might be worth it because it opens up that play
As a 1 of tech, yeah.
Bringing up a level 3, but the 1/0 is probably not worth it. That's your...
Yeah, in general, because the 2/2s are very milquetoast. Even though the 2/2 Toka is very good. They don't generate value swinging on the turn they are summoned, for the most part.
Mm-hmm. I can agree with that logic. I think if you want to just like splash it in as that package, I think that's like a fine play. But I think if you're running the 2/1, you might as well just throw in the 1/0 and open yourself up that option. How many copies of the 1/0? I don't know. You say the Cowgirl is just a completely better option. And
only because it's a double filter. It's because you could ditch 2 targets,
the effect to the effect, it likely is. But like that, it's not like you're running this on top of Cowgirls. You're probably just cutting a number of Cowgirls for this.
The issue you run
and
into
then
there,
the other 0.
Yeah, because I'd agree. Like you'd probably do what Hodsu did and like run a 1/1 split. Like you'd open up the high roll, right? I guess because like before I thought that you just didn't have the slots to even try to open up for the high roll. But Data Live is even more broken than when we last argued about this than I thought. Especially the 8 standby list. So, yeah, you can freely cut other deck fixing tools because they can loop one deck fixing tool into another deck fixing tool in an extremely consistent and disgusting way. So
I don't know. Yeah. The thing about this combo, like if you running like heavier on it, right? Like running
like a 3/3 or like 4 or something.
I don't know. Maybe not even that heavy, but running like a number of each, right? To just go for it a little more consistently. A couple things about that I like is that Data Live is such a good set that like you're talking about Overlord, right? Like Overlord's payoff for this sort of combo is bigger, but Overlord crutches on that because it's a weaker set.
True.
I think
True.
Data Live, it's like in the games where you do get this combo off, it's going to be a nice thing. It's going to be convenient. You're going to be like, wow, that's really handy. But it's not really going to be like necessarily a game-winning moment. It's just going to be like another little incremental advantage rather than, you know, like I have to do this or I lose.
Right.
So you don't have to like extend too hard to set it up because it's not a huge deal.
You're happy if it happens, basically. And
it's like if it happens and it's worth going for, you go for it. If not, you can just play the 1/0, filter a card, which Draw Ditch is an extremely good effect that's very underrated. It combines very nicely with other cards in the set that will like look at top 2 rearrange on play. I think that it's like a Kotori does that, like a level 0.
Yeah, I mean you're an 8 standby too, so Draw Ditch get into your other standbys.
Yeah, you either draw into your standby so you can slam it that turn, or you can it also allows you to dump a target.
Or trigger it second so that you can like crash a shitter, standby over your shitter, whatever you want to do.
But yeah, it also having this package in your deck does help you alleviate the issue. I don't think it's a big liability to splash this in because I think Draw Ditch is pretty comparable to the Cowgirl. It's not like a huge deal having to run that instead. And the 2/1 is like there's even more uses for it than I thought. I didn't even think about the Icy Tail play originally, but it does open you up to that. But just being able to alleviate the big issue with 8 standby, like the herder, you know, gotta push damage. Standby doesn't push damage. That kind of lets you avoid that by like, yeah, I'm gonna play this 2 Soul Beater and I'm gonna attack with it this turn. I am gonna still push some damage, even though my climax doesn't give global soul.
The only counterpoint I have to you exchange some of the zeros with this card because like. You made a good case for it, and I can agree to a point. I think Dal is just one of these 8 standby decks that's kind of like because I guess in English the only other 8 standby deck we've seen is Fujimi, but Fujimi is unique in that it races out its 2/2 as opposed to like attempting to resolve multiple 1/1s at 0. And like every RSU you cut for this or Cowgirl, I guess I should say, since most of it is most of our viewer base for this is going to be English, is going to like bring the consistency of that down a bit. So like you might have to still run 3 of the Cowgirls and then run like 2 of this, like a number, right? If you were going to go for this. And then the problem with that is then you're eating into, it's really hard to fit the My Little Shido event into 8 standby, because it's like completely outside of what you're going to do and how you're going to get into it. And yeah, this does draw ditch and stuff, but like running only 3 My Little Shido to run this, which I mean, you can look at Hodge's list, that's one of the concessions he made. The big question there is it worth it? And like, I don't know, right? We'd have to do the testing, right?
Yeah, it just comes down to value of deck slots, really.
It makes you reevaluate. My Little Shido is an incredibly busted card, but is it actually a 4 of? Like, the
depends.
Mill 4 event, as big of a fan of Mill 4 events as I am, you know, it's definitely like a throw-in card. It's like, it's fine, but it's not like exceptional, right? The My Little Shido
it's
card,
the other modes that make
it's really
it
going to
stupid.
shine when you're leveling down their character. And there's
Which, to be
matchups where
fair,
that's just not relevant.
In a meta,
Even when it is relevant, how many do you need?
well, in a meta, right, where you're expected to play into a lot of other Data Live decks, you probably want to run more My Little Shido, right? The first person to level down. Yeah, the first person to level down. So I guess we can rate these, because I do think it depends on the field and everything. And I think we did a good job of summarizing our previous argument, because this was still like, you know, I think we dedicated the time to it that we were supposed to. But,
for sure, yeah.
This is far more succinct than how it was before we lost footage. So
it's kind of just a lot of yelling.
It was. I think it was too late. We had looked at too many Data Live cards. Tensions were high.
We had been recording for what, like 6 hours?
Yeah, it was a long time. I still don't like this part of it. But you know, it's better than I thought. I'd give it like I'd go all the way to C-. I don't like this part.
I don't think it's bad by any means. It's fine. It might just feel bad having to cut.
It's a deck slot problem.
Yeah,
if anything.
Some of other Data Live's good cards for this.
Yeah, it's probably not like it's probably not like a 4 of. You don't go extremely hard for it.
No,
but,
definitely
you know,
not.
if it happens, it happens, and if it doesn't, you know, you're Data Live. You don't give a shit.
And then this part, I can move on to the 2-1.
Yeah.
I give this part like a B. Or I like the play of the like ramping out the Icy Tail. Yeah. And I'm biased there, as I need to like, because I've won many a game against heavy compression strategies by just saying, all right, my hand's gone. And I guess in this deck you'd say, all right, my stock's gone, but I'm gonna Icy Tail you every turn.
I was thinking of like another play with this. Like, this would be good with My Little Shido, because you could put it in the back row, rest it, and then stand something with the effect. But it does say on the effect this has to be in your front row to do the effect. So
one extra note with the Icy Tail, and I just remembered this. In English, where you're expected to play into more slime and more Konosuba, especially in a post-Data Live world, where like those are some of the only decks that can really keep up, and they're slamming hand-on-core early plays, the Icy Tail has on-reverse memory kick.
Oh, that's relevant. Yeah.
That's really good. That is really good against them. So I'm going to give it the B+ for that. I like that a lot. That's like a tech against those two decks, right? Like specifically.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's definitely enough to get me to bump that up.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, same actually. It seems like it's going to be better in English than in JP, just because the scope of the format and what you're expecting to play into.
It's not that Slime and Konosuba aren't in JP. It's that people won't be crutching on them as hard.
Yeah, they'll be a little more concentrated in English. So
I think Slime and Konosuba are really going to be jockeying for like the top 2 spots in English leading into Dal's release, I think.
Yeah.
Where in JP there's a lot of other, you know, top tier decks that you also have to look out for. Some, you know,
with different strategies that we don't have.
Exactly.
Even other things. So.
Gochi-use.
Yeah, I think in English this is going to be like the memory kick effect onto their hand-on core early plays is going to be really solid.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that until now. But all right, yeah, we can move on.
When it attacks, choose one of your characters. That character gains 2,500 power for the turn.
2,500 power on attack is fine.
A lot of power.
All right.
Wasn't there
She's not
something
gonna-
else earlier that had like a plus 2,500 or a plus
Yeah,
2,000?
it was a 103k Kotri in yellow, I believe. I think that, well, this is more generalized. Since you can play it at level 0, you can splash it in.
Potentially a good red fix, I guess, if you need it.
If you need the power, yeah.
I'm trying to look back for the Kotori card that did the.
Yeah, it was
In the Trial deck.
it was in the TD, yeah. Slide 6.
Plus 2,500 power.
It's red, yeah.
And it was a 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
1-0 gives 2,500 power. This is. God, I'm trying to find the slide again. This is 0-0 gives 2,500 power. This is just better, right?
I feel like in a lot of cases, probably, since you're usually sacking off the lane anyway. The 103k, it's probably dying anyway, unless you're siding, in which case, you could be.
The 103.5 is already conceding a lane, even to other climax combos. You're either siding or crashing, or swinging into an open lane.
So this is more broadly useful if you're looking for something like that.
Yeah, I gave the other one a B, but I don't know. I might reassess it now. Probably is worth a C. 2,500 is a lot of power, though. I guess even at level 0, you could just pump itself, right? Yeah, you could pump itself and just hit over something.
Swing vanilla, yeah.
I might have been a little too hasty with my grade the first time, but this seems like a C+ probably.
Yeah, I could definitely see uses for this.
Next card.
All right.
Is this me? Yep.
That's you, yep.
Character opposite of this cannot move to another slot. And on play, it gets 1,500 power. So 3,500 they can't run. Yeah, I'd like it a lot better if it had the power like cross turn or.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we just talked about this exact same card in Konosuba. If it got to 4K, it would be really good. Otherwise, it just trades with a lot of stuff.
I think even things that would just swing over aren't worth playing, aren't worth dedicating slots to, in a set without Sir Tricky.
Yeah,
you can't reasonably expect to play a ton of copies of this card, summon it, attack into the thing it's supposed to actually kill, and move on with your life. You would have to you would have to run a bazillion of it.
It's only a clean answer to Goblin Slayer's Chaser. Not being able to hit over like a Futaba or a 3,500 card of some kind is kind of not worth.
Yeah.
All right. Next
but
card.
onto a more broken card.
All right, so let's talk about this card that has a lot of words on it. When this card is placed on the stage from your hand, you may pay 1 and discard a card from your hand. If you do, choose one of the following 2 actions and perform it. If you have 3 or less cards in your clock, search your deck for a date or elemental character, show it to your opponent, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. If you have 4 or more cards in your clock, choose a date or elemental character in your waiting room, return it to hand. And to choose another of your date or elemental characters, and for the turn that character gets 1,000 power. So it is either a drop salvage or a drop search, depending on how many cards are in your clock.
Why would I run another card to choose what my filter card is when I could just run a really dumb filter card in the same color?
You could just play the good drop salvage that's always a drop salvage, so you know what you're getting. I'm leaning that same way.
Which one is that? The trial deck one?
It's the first one we did. The first Kotori from this one.
Oh, wait. Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
Wait, no, that's a Chiori.
Yeah, it was
like the 3rd or 4th one down.
Oh, it's the underage one. Drew.
Yeah, I think this is I think this is completely unplayable.
Yeah.
This is filter effects like this are far too important to leave them up to chance.
Yeah,
and I'm not running a tech card.
True.
Like I literally, if
the other
someone was
so
playing
much
this
better,
card,
like top 2 rearrange,
I'm gonna be honest. If someone was
Okay.
playing this card and played this card against me and consistently got like the thing that they wanted every single time, like I don't know, that person must be a god. You can't fucking control this.
There's like no reason to play this over the other one.
Yeah.
The one that top
No,
checks.
there's
do
why
also
this is
does
unplayable.
that.
There's not.
The other ones are rare. Like, come on, shell out the extra 40 cents, guys. Play a
Yeah.
better card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this next card we got this sad-looking Kurumi. And she scries a card when you play it or surveils it. Also, when it dies, it does that. That's probably why she's so sad-looking. And it also triggers when you play it from waiting room too. So if you stand by it out, you get the surveil effect too.
Wait, what? Is placed in the waiting...
Or
Oh,
if
no.
when it attacks. Placed
Okay.
in the waiting room, placed... When this is played... Oh, wait, hold on. When this is placed from hand to stage, when you play it from your hand, or when you attack with it, or when it dies, you look at the
surveil.
top card, put it back on top, or bin it.
Huh.
I thought this triggered when you stand by it out.
No.
Placed
Might
in
have
the
misread
waiting-
it the first time.
Oh yeah, I guess we did read it wrong the first time. So it's on play, on death, or on attack.
This is another card where we lost some recording. So, we're re-recording. Yeah. This was a card that when it got revealed, I was really hyped. And we all tried it. Everybody who got Dow, like in Card Game Discord, and we all threw it in. And the consensus was that it was very cute, and then when you high rolled with it, it was really cool. But there were just other cards to play. But like, it's not that it's not strong, not that it's not good, because like, yeah, that's a lot of top checking power, right?
It just maybe it doesn't add something that the deck desperately needs. You have so many other ways to draw and discard and filter that,
Right.
and
you already-
scry that you might not need
Yeah,
a card
yeah,
like
you already have
this.
so much deck control.
I feel
This
like
might be
But
redundant.
you know what though? If you wanted to open up other deck space, you know what I mean. You could kind of maybe cut those cards that do your filtering in other areas and just run like a playset of this or something, and have that be your filtering package. You can maybe do something
I
like
don't know.
that.
A 104K is a big cost to pay for that, as opposed to like zeros that do those things. I guess because like you can always play zeros. 104K is kind of. But yeah, card's fine. I think the big thing with this card is that it's all of its defensive merit was removed when people figured out just how dumb the blue stuff was. Because the blue stuff just has really big overlap with this defensively.
Mhm.
And that stuff's just kind of too stupid and eats up a lot of slots. You want it out as early as possible.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to fit.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of the blue stuff sits in your back row too.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
card you have to be like attacking with it, but
The
I
card
think
to stand by over, right? It helps.
Yeah, I think it has a place. That's something good too. Like,
Yeah, that's
you swing with it
relevant.
first, and then you get another scribe when it dies, which is really nice. But it definitely adds points to it. But
You either stand by over it, and then when you stand by over it, you get the surveil.
I think too. Also with probably with 8 stand. I've never played 8 standby personally, but 8 standby anything. But it seems like even in 4 standby, like sometimes you just trigger superfluous standbys. You know what I mean? Like you already have a full field and you have the board you want, and then you just trigger a standby, and it's like, oh well, I kind of whiffed it.
That's like any climax, right? Like,
I guess not any, but with standby, it's like when
You already
full
have your
field and
board
you whiff
set.
it, it's kind of like feels kind of bad. But this is something that you can just like always throw down over top of something else to like get your value up to standby, because then it's if you just have like a useless lane that it's like, well, I could put something over it, but it doesn't really matter. You could just put this over top of it and then cash out the scry effect.
what I
next
like about
turn
it,
or whatever.
if we're talking about standby, is that if you throw this as your third lane, that you plan to, when you sack a standby off the top, get a put put a card over that, this card does a couple things to help you do that. Where if you play this card last on your turn before you go to attacks, you get to confirm that there's not a standby on your first attack, or remove a standby on your first attack, which is one of the worst things that could happen in a standby deck, is that you trigger standby first attack and you don't have an open back row slot. Or worse, you've already played standby and like your back row's full. So that always sucks, because then like you lose your brainstormer or something. In a 4 standby deck. And then it gives you even better, like it fully guarantees that you're not going to trigger on your first attack, because you also surveil when you attack. So on play and attack. So you remove those bad situations. And then when you eventually do standby over it, after you've crashed it in, because like there's no way this is killing anything but other like level 0s, right? Once it's played over, you get another surveil. So you can like further like confirm your trigger for your other attacks down the line.
You can get 3 scries off it in one turn. You play it from hand, surveil, attack with it, surveil. It dies at end of turn.
Or you standby over it.
You get to, well, that's really cool too. You surveil before you go into your opponent's turn, so you can like get one closer to a cancel. So it even holds value in the later stages of the game, because you can like try to set up cancels or get through a bad deck state. Like, oh, I'm 1 card short of being able to get to refresh. I'll just spin it.
This card gets through 4 cards, including its attack, right? On its own. Just in a non-conventional way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a little weird. But yeah, like, card's fine.
Yeah, it's
just gonna give it a B. I think it's definitely not a bad card. It's just a card that it's like, it's not even a B. It's like, it's not a bad card. It's just like a card where it's like, oh, this is like
come
super
on,
good.
You're lowering your score now because I gave it the lowest score.
No,
ironically enough. So you're like, oh,
no,
shit,
I'm pretty sure this is what I gave it last time. The same thing, like a B minus.
I probably did too, but like after thinking about it more, like I really, really, really like this profile. And there's probably, there are sets out there that would, like, not Data Live, but like other sets that would kill to have like just run this as a 4 of.
Yeah, but
it would be like an auto include 4 of. And even Data Live, I'm sure, has ways to use it very effectively, but it just has a lot of overlap with
the blue shit,
things that the set already does well. Not just the blue stuff, but also the red stuff. There's a lot of
the coterie, the coterie drop salvage, I think.
And it doesn't seem like the deck has trouble hitting standby, without this card. So maybe it's just kind of like a win more card in that sense. But maybe there's like a non-red build or a non-standby focus build maybe that would want this.
Yeah, I feel like it's even better.
Maybe you're playing like a yellow or green top end or something, and maybe you want like some red splashed in somewhere.
Flashing red, yeah.
Or in like a really greedy deck where you're like, this idea was fielded to me recently, where like running all the standby cards like kind of clogs up your deck with like shitty cards sometimes. So what if you just ran like 1 or 2 Kurumi and like standbys, and you didn't play any standby cards, but like you just played like climax swappers. You played like a really greedy lineup because they have a good climax swapper that we already saw in green, and like this is a card that would fit in that kind of deck, right?
You know what? It's like a perfectly good standby target, like a level 1 standby target or something to pull out, maybe, right? I mean, but you don't have to commit as hard to running a bunch of 1/1s and shit. Like it's more playable on its own, but it's still like pretty good to stand by out turn 1 or like at any point in the game, I guess. Really,
I could see it like, again, I think in a greedier like 3 climax split list, it could like prevent, like, because in that kind of list you don't want to trigger standby anyway. You want it to be engrave that you can swap it. So like you use this card to like try to not trigger climaxes that you don't need to, but like just has that extra upside, fixes you for red if you're running very little red, good tech card at any point. Yeah, I think that's about it, right? Anything else?
No,
that's fine. Yeah.
All right. Got a soul trigger. It refunds the stock from top of deck. If you're running choice and you want to run a counter, you run this. That's it. The 2K for choice.
This is the one that refunds the stock. Yeah, it's fine.
2K for choice. So
it's playable. Yeah.
Okay.
D+ only for choice. You run the costless one and non-choice.
What's the 2 cost on there for the? Is the
I don't know why there's
auto
a
ability
2.
2 when you use the back? What do you?
It's not on the
Weiss has
card.
2.
It's not on the card.
It's not. No.
I think it's a Hotsy error.
Oh.
All right.
So it's just a 1/1/2K that gives you your stuff.
Yeah, it's just for the decks where you run choice, because it has a soul trigger.
Right.
Drew, I think this is yours.
Yeah, we get a 1/1 here. If the cost of the character opposite is 0 or lower, this card does not get reversed. When another of your date or elemental characters attacks for the turn, this card gains 1,000 power.
So 1/1 unkillable.
That's
Fine.
pretty good.
It's a fine profile. Yeah.
It's worse in the mirror for sure, because your opponent's gonna have playing standby.
Against other standbys, yeah.
Profile's fine. This is better than normal ones, so I think I agree with Drew. It's B-. It's kind of similar to the Remy, not as good as the Remy, because it has to attack last.
Kind of like how all in do you plan to go on standby? Like, if you're going really heavy in the backup strategy, you probably just want a bigger standby target that you can pump bigger, because you're going to be pumping anyway. But if you're kind of just like running the standby finisher because it's the best finisher, and don't really plan on playing a backup oriented strategy the whole game, this is probably the 1/1 standby target of choice, right?
Is there a better one in blue we haven't seen yet, or
you wouldn't if you
an
weren't
alternative?
heavy in standby? You would probably opt to either not run any level 1 target, just because of my little Shido. It's like your winning board anyway. But I think it heavily depends on your build. I could see this in like a more budget build, or if like you weren't running My Little Shido and you were playing 8 standby and you wanted an additional 1/1 target that was never going to die. This could be like your 5th and 6th 1/1. But I think
I don't know. I could totally see it as like a as like the primary standby target in a less defensive build. You're just kind of running the Kurumi finisher and then something else at level 1, maybe something else at level 2 that you're not trying to defend as much.
Well, even in that situation, I think the 1/1 additional 500 power in hand on core, if you were being more aggressive, would keep up a beater better. So it just wouldn't be worth it over the normal 1/1.
I guess so, but what's really getting over this at level
Any other 1/1?
Yeah,
or standby.
Another 1/1, yeah.
Literally any 1/1 card would kill this. The
But
same
if
as
you're
the
not
other
going
ones.
for a backup oriented strategy, then you're not going to be able to back up over their 1/1 anyway. This gives you like massive percentage points against decks that are trying to reverse you at level 1 with a combo.
I mean, there are plenty of ways for Data Live to just bounce back or deny single lanes. Mostly with the blue 1/0 Toka. If you're trying to do that, you're probably running the blue level 1, which sits at 6/5, and then you give it a free 15 of like lane of an 8K, even without a backup. I'd like my chances on an 8K that was costless more than a 1/1. That if I wasn't running like high counts of it, I guess. I don't know. It's like profile's fine. I just don't know where it fits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next card. We got this smug Kurumi in the forest. 1/1/7/5 hand encore.
Boring but necessary.
Yeah, that's the standby target you play. And
B plus.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably B, just because you have to play it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Brian, this one's you.
All right, we've got Scared Kurumi. 2/2 gets 1,000 power for each of your other date or elemental characters. Gets up to 10k. Has hand on core. That's a standby target.
Also boring.
A+ as fuck though, because it's badass. This profile is disgusting.
It's not. It's
Oh my god, 1,000 power per character?
I
Gross.
I don't like running this one. The Toka feels a lot more disgusting. If you want a preview of that for comparison's sake, I think it's worth looking at briefly.
Yeah.
Slide 102, 6-5 without any form of encore. Gains 1,000 for each of your other ones, and whenever it reverses a battle opponent, you look it up to 2 cards from the top of your library, put them back in your library in any order. It says either turn. Helps you sequence correct attacks for successive standbys. Lets you trigger standby on your last attack if you attack with this first, which is a bit of a high roll play, but also can help you if you attack last. Move climaxes up, move climax down, so you cancel on 2 as opposed to canceling on 1. Just expect your opponent to play a climax. Has a natural defensive ability. Notably, in the mirror.
Hand encore, but
yeah, I was about to mention.
Overrated.
In the mirror, this card is better. The Kurumi is better in the mirror, since it can be saved from level down. However, if you're playing the Toka, you probably have the 1-0 Toka in the back row. Your opponent will typically target the 1-0 Toka because of the damage scry effect.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have a bit of evasion there on the level down. So I think they're comparable, but in a vacuum, card's boring. It's another B+ because you have to play fucking standby in this set because Kurumi's broken.
Yeah, B for boring.
Yeah, and just a flat B actually. I think the 1-1's like weirdly more important for the like 8 standby strategy. This is just kind of like whatever. You throw this in at like 2 of.
I don't know. I don't consider these 10k hand encores like a B or an A anymore. It's just like
depends on the set.
They're not that good. Like
you're 2 sandbox
hand
into
encore
running
is a little bit
standby.
overrated.
Better in the mirror. The only way around level
It is
down.
better in the mirror, I guess, but I don't know. That the other blue card we took a sneak peek of looks way better than this to me.
On paper, yeah, it really depends on like what you're playing into. The Toka's better against everything but Data Live. This is better into the mirror. Depends on your play field. When everybody's playing Data Live, this might be the play.
Maybe you just split them.
Possible.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're bringing down, like, you know, which one you can have out. If you're running X standby, you don't have the ability to run 4 of them. No.
Price you pay for versatility.
I suppose. Depending on your playfield, I feel like there's probably a better answer, but whatever. Doesn't matter.
Let's see this event card.
Dump all your stock. Choose a character with Toka. Until the next end of your opponent's turn, that character gets plus X power and bodyguard. X equals the number of cards put into the waiting room this way times 1,000. It's really funny, but
it's very spicy.
There's not a true like good target for this. The fact that it comes online at level 1.
Play?
I mean, you'd rather give the 2/2 Toka.
Yeah, the one that gives you top 2 rear.
Or the scry. The scry one would be good because you're gonna definitely get the reverse if you're giving it bodyguard and like a bunch of power. Dumping your stock's not even really a drawback, depending on like when you use it or how you.
Well,
use
I mean,
it.
You won't gain any power if you don't. It's X by the number of power.
Yeah.
Like by your stock times 1,000.
I guess so, but maybe bodyguard's the important ability. And
yeah,
then you can, like,
I think I agree, Brian. I hate it.
You can like use a backup too.
It's funny.
It's funny, but that's
it's
about
funny
it,
and flavorful, but it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like pretty niche. You'd have to have a real good reason to run it. I think there's some potential though.
Brew, take us home.
All right, boys. We got this 2-0 event. Recollection at the beginning of your main phase. This is in memory. Choose up to 2 characters with date or elemental. Return them to hand and put this in the waiting room. If 2 cards are put in your hand this way, choose a card in your hand and discard it to the waiting room.
Can this target your opponent's characters or is it only yours?
Does not say. I don't know if there are implicit.
That would be a mirror breaker.
I don't know if there are like implicit rulings, or if this card is like mistranslated. I'm guessing it only targets yourself. I wouldn't evaluate it based on it possibly targeting opponent.
If it could target your opponent, that would be pretty huge. That's like everyone's
match,
playing
really.
Data Live. This seems like a good counter.
Be like a costless fucking
bounce 2
on, but it would be a turn
Next
late.
turn.
Yeah, next turn. Actually, wait, next turn. Blech.
Or where's it returning them from? Is it returning them from waiting room? Or...
Yeah, I just Google translated it. It's from waiting room.
Oh, so beginning of your main phase.
Salvage 2.
Salvage 2.
Which one? It's like a
2 cards are put in your
it's
hands.
It's a free magical girl appears. It is a turn late.
It's a turn late, yeah.
Therefore, unplayable.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
Unfucking playable.
Easy F.
It's getting a U for unplayable.
I don't think it's that bad.
Turn late.
Bad.
Turn late
free,
tutor.
though. It's free. Goes to memory. Gives you memory compression and stock compression.
Paying 1 stock in any Data Live deck is not a thing that you need to care about. Normal magical girl appears would have been much more appreciated in this slot. In fact, I would say that it'd actually be like decent for the set. Like open up some options. This is bad.
Yeah.
Filter that's not immediate is like, what's the point? Why play filter? You have so many ways to like immediately change your like state of your hand in this game. There's no reason to like wait a turn when you might possibly not even have a grave.
Yeah. When I was oh fuck, Carmen. I was just about to say, imagine if you just didn't have a waiting room.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's mandatory, yeah.
And you have to do it. Oh fuck.
I don't know. The fact that everything in Data Live hits off events makes me like it a bit more. Gives it a bit more playability.
All right. I think that's it for red, right?
That's it.
I think so.
All right. One more color. See you guys in the next one.